What's your advice to someone who is lost?
The opposite of addiction is connection, and I could never do this thing on my own.
I've been working since I was a kid. I just gotta keep my head.
That you're responsible for and that your name's attached to, do you feel like that gave you that responsibility to be better than you were?
That's when it all began. I don't need a rollie on my.
When you believe in yourself a little bit, you'd be surprised what could happen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Loft. If you have not yet, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Our next guest is a mixed martial artist from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Candelaria. What's up, bro?
Chilling, bro. It's fight week.
Yeah, fight week. You got a huge fight coming up, man. You excited?
Different energy, different mindset, you know.
Yeah.
Just going into this week, just fully prepared, knowing that all the work is done and Saturday night should be easy money.
So how long has this been how long of a process has this been getting this fight set up?
Bro, it's been basically all my life. Like,
yeah.
I started as a young kid. Started in like Taekwondo, then kind of got out of it for a couple years, started doing football, baseball, all the general sports, and then was trash at that. So kind of realized I was like, you know, the team sports aren't really my thing. And then got into wrestling sophomore year of high school. Didn't want to do a freshman year because I thought it was a little weird.
Yeah,
wearing the spandex and showering with dudes. But
yeah,
then I was like, I kind of wanted to find my place. I wasn't playing lacrosse. I wasn't playing football. So I'm like, let me get back into the combat sports. So tried wrestling sophomore year, junior year. Then I ended up breaking my hand junior year. Didn't wrestle senior year.
You're a judge, right? Yeah.
Kind of, hung around a different crowd, not the best crowd, getting into fights a lot. So, that kind of transpired. And then went to CCP, did like a year and a half there. And then I'm in class every day, like just thinking about being in the gym, like, I should be training right now.
Right.
And then dropped out of that, started doing full-time. And the hardest part about being a full-time mixed martial artist is finding stability, finding financial stability, because you need to train 2-3 times a day during the week. And,
Well, that's kind of what I was going to get at, too, is like before, like, so how do you said you do it full-time now?
Full-time.
So how do you where's your income come from?
So I work security on the weekends. I'm not gonna tell you where.
Yeah. Okay.
Work security on the weekends, Saturday, Sundays, and just Monday through Saturday. I'm just training 2-3 times a day.
Oh, so you're just hustling on the side, and then okay, nice. So when did you feel like you found that passion for mixed martial arts? 'Cause I understand and I get exactly where you're coming from with the whole high school stuff and being at the wrong crowds, and that's completely normal. I think, it takes a lot of time and this experiences to find what you're looking for, your niche, who you are essentially, because I don't think it's finding yourself in high school is non-existent because you're around so many different you're around people that that you're kind of forced to be around just because of your area. Exactly. And then I think once you get out of that environment is when you really start to become yourself. And then there always comes that initial wave of doubt, if that makes sense, when you're in college or because you just get thrown into it. High school doesn't prep you for anything. And you get thrown into, I know when I was at Temple, I hated school too. I hated Temple. And, obviously the parties were fun and all that stuff, but, you feel I didn't feel like I was doing anything with my life. And, because you're just, I don't know, school just wasn't for me. I know it wasn't probably for you either, but once I got out of school, you're kind of, once you're in the real world, that's when you find your close people who you do polar plunges with, or people that come to my DJ sets or whatever like that. It's you find your people through through that, and you're more so choosing who you put yourself around rather than school doing that for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? No, when did this MMA pursuit start to really pick up for you? Because I know you kind of mentioned you've been an athlete your whole life, but I could tell from social media, just checking you out on socials and stuff, you've been really doing this for a minute. You've been hustling, you've been grinding, and you and Sean and your boys has been really pushing this for fitness, which is to a lot of people might be different, because a lot of people are used to just going out and all that type of stuff. So when did that really start to happen for you?
Shout out to my boy Sean, by the way. He's supposed to be here.
Sean Young Day. This he's working, right?
Yeah.
We'll get him on the pod.
Yeah, so, you know, I got to thank, you know, Sean, especially because he's been there, like, the very beginning of this journey, you know.
Yeah, can you pinpoint a time frame in that?
Well, I mean, since I was a kid, like, my dad got me into, like, Bruce Lee, martial arts, and, you know, I actually was, like, kind of bullied a little bit. I was kind of quiet growing up. And I remember the one time, like, some kid, like, on the bus, this had to have been, like, fucking 4th grade. Can I curse on
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
This had to have been, like, fucking 4th grade. And he, like, wanted his seat on the bus, and I didn't give it to him, so he punched me in the mouth. I came home crying. And my dad's like, yo, if you don't go out there and whoop his ass, like, I'm going to whoop your ass. So that's kind of when it started for me. I was like, all right, I can't take no shit because I'm going to go home. My dad's, you know, he's not going to like that shit. So I would say, like, you know, it kind of started then, like, not really taking shit for nobody. Kind of grew up a little quiet, like I said. And then, you know, as time went on, I just, like, started watching UFC, and, like, I remember I would be at the lunch tables and everybody's talking about, like, the new ESPN fucking top 10 plays, and I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about none of that. Like,
yeah, you're dialed in.
I'm studying boxing. I'm watching MMA, and I'm, like, trying to talk to people about MMA and boxing. People are like, I don't watch that shit. Like, now everybody's starting.
Well, yeah,
to watch
it wasn't really a thing at that point. I think COVID really pushed it heavy.
Oh yeah,
because it was the only thing going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's actually a good point. So COVID was a huge transition year for everybody, but especially for me in my career and who I train with. I was primarily at one gym, and then my jiu-jitsu coach ended up leaving that gym. They had, like, a little falling out, and me and my jiu-jitsu coach are like this, you know.
Right.
Shout out to Danny, by the way. Without him, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. What gym you at?
So I train 3 different gyms. Movement Art Jiu-Jitsu, that's who, you know, Danny Myra, Nick Salas. Parabellum Boxing, Coach Wood. And then Marquez MMA. That's, like, Marquez MMA, Daniel Gracie team.
Right.
That's primarily, like, my main MMA, where I get all my main MMA rounds in and shit like that. So.
And what's your schedule like during the week?
Dude, it always changes. Just to give you, like, a general day, like a Thursday would be, or like a Wednesday would be, like, sparring in the morning, 10 a.m. I'll usually spar 5 kickboxing rounds, and then we'll do, like, a Shark Tank of, like, you know, 1 guy's in the center, and then you just rotate 3-4 guys on them, like, fresh guys, and you're just in the center, just, you know,
getting your ass beat.
Yeah, usually.
It's well, yeah. And so you find, where does your enjoyment for mixed martial arts come into play? Where does that truly come from?
That's a good question.
Like, when Dan's in the ring or the Octagon, like, when does the true love for it come out? What aspect of MMA do you love the most?
I want to say it's almost like a primal thing. It goes back to, like, our primal roots of, like, you know, hunting after your food. Almost.
Right.
That's
yeah.
Almost
yeah.
like,
That the essence of being a male, essentially, right? Like, it's like that primal. I know exactly what you're talking about. And like I said, and the fitness and the whole, like, training your body and your mind, what has that done for you? You know, since, you know, obviously being in high school and not really taking care of your body as much, you know, whether you're drinking or whatever, like, since you made that transition, like, how do you feel now mentally and physically?
Dude, it's been almost 2 months, no alcohol.
Good for you.
Over a month, no sex, it's been fucking hard, dude, honestly.
Yeah.
So I've been, like, almost like dopamine fasting, you know, just trying to, like, suffer and
delayed gratification.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely attribute a lot of my knowledge from Andrew Huberman as well. Kind of going back to, like, where do you find that enjoyment in training? he came out with something talking about like how you have to, if the fucking work sucks, you have to like physiologically, whatever you have to do, like sometimes in training, I'll be getting my fucking ass beat by pros. And I'm getting punched in the head, you know, doing whatever. And I literally like physiologically smile while I'm doing it just so I can like trick my brain into believing that I actually like this process. Nobody likes getting punched in the face. Nobody likes getting beat the fuck up. But I'll sit there and smile so I can trick my brain into liking that process. And Huberman talks about like enjoying the suck, enjoying the grind is actually where you see the benefits. You don't see the dopamine benefits when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh wow, like, you know, I look better. You're not going to see that for another year or 2 years, wherever you are in your journey. You have to enjoy the fucking grind. Like there has to be some type of trick in your mind, physiologically or mental or spiritual, which is another topic we can get to. But you know, meditation is definitely a huge thing that I'm into as well.
Yeah. When did you implement that into your everyday life?
Dude, I started doing this sensory deprivation flow tank.
Oh, really?
Once a month for 2 years.
Oh, wow. You still do it?
I'm actually doing it this Friday, before weigh-ins. So, are you familiar with it?
So I've seen it. I've actually been really curious about it. I've never done one or met anyone that's done one. So I'm really curious to know what is it like being in the tank, and what are the benefits of it?
So,
and for those who don't know, what is it?
So it's basically like it takes all your senses away. You can't hear, see, smell, feel, you know, touch anything. You're in complete darkness for whether it's 30, 60, 90 minutes. I usually do 60 or 90 minutes.
90 minutes. Damn.
Complete darkness.
Damn. Yo.
And you're just floating in water. So the water is heated to your body temperature. And yeah, you're basically just floating there. And it's just the deepest form of meditation that you could possibly get. Because I don't know if you like study Stoicism, but I'm real big into Stoicism.
Okay.
And one of the things that Marcus Aurelius talks about is like you have to have death on your shoulder all the time. Like right now, you have to have like the sense of like death is, it could be a second away. It could be 2 seconds away. Your heart can stop right now. And that's it. So why not give everything you have every fucking second of the day? And that's basically what the float tank is. It kind of makes you feel like you're dead. And then you come back to life and all your senses just rush into you. And you're like, holy shit. Like, you enjoy life a lot more because it's like you have all your senses taken away from you. You know,
interesting. That's actually super interesting, and I actually wanted to do one of them for a while, but I didn't know they were in Philly. To be honest with you,
yeah, they're all over.
Yeah, I didn't know that, so I'm gonna have to definitely look into that because I'm super like into the like trying to get into that that aspect of like the true self-care, and it's tough, you know, mixing nightlife with that, but it's like a compromise I had to make, and it's interesting because I did dry January, and that was the biggest form of discipline I've ever done for myself. Because usually I'm just like, yeah, like I'll go out, have a few drinks, whatever, when I'm playing, or I'll go out and eat this shitty food, whatever. But like in that period of time, I'm actually tempted to go back to it. I actually been like thinking about it because, you know, you hold yourself to it. And most importantly, you have your boys with you. My roommates did it with me. My buddy Rob did it with me. And it's interesting because everyone would be like, "Oh, you're not drinking tonight?" Like you'd be like, you're so... Like when you mention it to someone, they like don't believe it.
Right.
And you're like, actually, like, yeah, like I'm not, we're not drinking, none of us. And I'm out DJing all these places, and like, it's funny, but eventually people caught on to him, and then they would like joke about it, whatever, give me a water shot or something. But like, it was the clearest my mind's ever been. And like, I've never had that before. Like, cause I've never done that. I've never done that form of discipline. And that's what I respect about what you and your boys are doing so much, that you have that discipline. And it's also like kind of low key fuck everyone else too. Like in terms of like, you don't care about the opinions of others. You're just like, listen, this is what I want to do. This is the lane I'm going to take. And and I've noticed you've gradually put more steps into it and like studying the stoicism or even doing the sensory deprivation tanks and like this the innovating in terms of like really taking your career serious, you know what I mean? So I wanted to ask too, you kind of mentioned about how you get that new appreciation for life because you get your senses back. I remember someone telling me that you got into an accident years ago.
Yes.
Right?
I had a DUI.
You had a DUI.
Yeah.
So would you mind talking about that? Because I heard about that, and like someone mentioned to me that I don't even remember. This is a long time ago, but someone mentioned like I feel like did it change your life? Do you think?
It was definitely a big turning point in my life, and I wouldn't say it was like. I would actually say it was dramatic because that point in time in my life, I actually had a twin rotator cuff, so I couldn't fucking move my arm for like 8 or 9 months.
When was this, by the way?
This was like 5 years ago. It was actually Bloomsburg Block Party 5 years ago. So just to walk you through that process a little bit, my BAC was .10. The legal limit is .08. So I technically only had like 3 or 4 beers in my system. And I was locked out of my friend's apartment. It was fucking cold as hell. I'm not trying to make excuses, but, you know, I was like, I'm not sleeping in my car. I'm not sleeping on the streets. And it was a 2-hour drive, and I'm like, fuck, I could do it. And this was like 2, 3 in the morning. I ended up getting in my car, and I'm like, I'm not drunk. I feel good. It's late, but I felt good. Fucking 25 minutes into the drive, I pass out. Fucking, luckily, there was guardrails there. There was a couple stretches where it was a guardrail, and I actually hit the guardrail, did a 180, and I was facing oncoming traffic, but I was off to the shoulder. A truck pulls off to the side, and he's just watching me the entire time. I got out of my car, looked at my car's mangled, it's fucking smoking, and airbags are everywhere, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep driving.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what else to do. I'm not just gonna sit here, so I'm just gonna keep driving. The truck that was pulled off to the side just watched me. Luckily, he started following me, making sure everything was all right. He called the state troopers. The state troopers pulled me over, ran me through the sobriety test, and I ended up passing every sobriety test other than the breathalyzer. And they actually told me, by the time all that was said and done, this was like 4 or 5 in the morning, they actually told me, like, we would let you go if somebody were here to pick you up. My parents were 2 hours away, so they weren't going to wait 2 hours. Everybody else that I was calling was asleep. It was fucking 4 or 5 in the morning. Nobody could pick me up, so they took me in. And, yeah, that was definitely a big transition in my life because, like I mentioned in the beginning, I had the torn rotator cuff. I was also in a relationship, and I think things were a little bit rocky, and I was going through a little breakup at that time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I couldn't drive, so this was dead of the winter. I couldn't drive for like 4 months, so I was riding my bike everywhere in the fucking cold. On the way to the gym to fucking do pre-rehab for my shoulder, like, and this was like, I'm still chasing my dream of being a mixed martial artist, and I had nothing. I had a job that was paying me fucking $60 a day, waiting tables in Jenkintown. I would ride my bike 8 miles, take a bus, and work, I think it was like 5 hours, and then do the same thing on the way back home. And then, yeah, that was like, you know, that was that little stretch in my life. That's when crazy. That happened, yeah.
That's wild. People were bringing that up to me and, like, were saying that it was, like, a huge part of your life. And no one was anything bad. I think I just, like, asked about you. I just, like, if we were just talking about certain people, like Snap or whatever, and then that kind of came up. But, no, that's crazy, though, man.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so after that, like, period of time, when did, like, obviously having the DUI, like, sucked, but, like, when did you start to really turn your life around?
That was definitely a big transition period. Before that, like I said, in high school, I wasn't the best. I actually got arrested before for aggravated assault when I was 17.
Really?
I was on probation for like a year and a half, something like that. So you thought I would have learned then, but, you know.
Well, you're 17.
17.
You think you're on top of the world.
Yeah.
You know?
So I would say, like, you know, that was a nice little smack in the face. The DUI was a nice little smack in the face. And then I started to realize, like, damn, like, I'm fucking up. Like, I gotta switch my habits up. Like, I gotta do something to really, like, change my life path. And I definitely started to, like, look inward and just, like, realize, like, and you got to be truthful with yourself. I'm a big David Goggins fan.
Yeah.
And he talks about, like, if you're fat, tell yourself you're fucking fat. If you're stupid, tell yourself you're stupid. Like, be real with yourself in where you're at in your journey and realize there's work to be done, right? So I realized I was fucking stupid. So I went to the books and started, you know, seeking out, like, mentors and people who, quote unquote, are above me in where I want to get in my journey, and, like, start picking their brain. Like, how did you do that? You know, what do you do on a daily basis? And I think seeking out people for help is, you know, the strongest thing that you can do in your life path.
Exactly. And I think the most important thing too is, like, not having an ego either.
Absolutely.
Like, even for me, when I'm like I guess I could translate how your fitness and MMA career, I can translate to my DJing career, because, like, there are mentors I have in the city who, you know, as I've started to branch out, I look up to. And I texted one of them yesterday. I was like, hey, listen, like, he came to one of my sets, and I'm like, hey, like, do you have feedback for me? He's like, yeah, like, let's do it. And he was like, if you start doing well and getting better and better, like, we'll keep you busy this summer. And I'm like, that's great. Like, listen, I just want to learn. That's all I'm trying to do is learn, because, you know, he's been around for a while, and, like, I don't have an ego to the point. I don't think I always think that someone has something to offer you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It could be some guy on the street. It could be someone in the gym you're training at. Every single person has something to offer you, and the most important thing is to find what that person can offer you.
Absolutely.
And it's an all for the better. You know what I mean? It could be as small or as big, you know, as it needs to be. But I think you seeking out there's mentors and actively investing in yourself is ultimately going to get you or any person to where they want to be. I just find that super important to, like, always try to find something significant in every person you speak to or interact with. And so, but outside of training, what are some, like, habits that you've begun to build for yourself that has really enhanced yourself?
This fucking watch, the Whoop. I don't know if you've ever heard about it.
I thought it was an Apple Watch. I'm not gonna lie.
Your boy that you had on,
Saber Alex.
He made a fucking video about this.
Did he?
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Shout out to Alex if you're watching this.
Absolutely hilarious. But this has kept me accountable in so many ways, because you can link up with other friends and kind of see, like, how hard they're working, what their sleep is like, what their recovery is like, and it's funny as shit, because you're gonna go back and watch your boy's podcast, but it tells you your resting heart rate, your HRV, your respiratory rate, your skin temperature, and, like, how many calories you're burning, how hard you're pushing yourself that day, and it kind of gives you, like, a scale of where you're at on recovery. It's like, today I'm at 98%, so I'm feeling like money.
Yeah.
But, you know, during the week when I'm training, I'm at, like, 50%. But this has been a big transition into how I focus my outside training in prioritizing sleep, prioritizing what time I eat. Like, I don't eat past, like, 9-10 p.m., like 2 to 3 hours before I go to sleep, so that way my, you know, digestion won't fuck up my sleep.
Right. What time are you up and what time do you go to bed?
During fight camp?
Let's say for everyone who's watching, we'll get into your fight camp in a minute because I'm super excited for that fight. So what about after, or like outside of camp? Excuse me.
I mean, to be honest with you, I wake up at like 8 a.m. Nothing early.
Right.
Nothing crazy. I make sure I get at least 8 hours of sleep.
8.
If I get 7, I'm happy. If I get less than 7, I know training is going to be a lot harder.
Right.
So I definitely prioritize sleep over everything. And then as soon as I wake up, I don't go on my phone. I don't scroll on social media. I go straight to the bathroom, and I'll fucking hop in a cold shower. I start every single morning with a cold shower.
Cold shower. How long are you in the shower for?
2 minutes minimum. And,
okay.
you know, that sets me up for success for the rest of the day. And how I look at it with the cold exposure especially is like, I read this in a book. It's called Untethered Soul.
Yeah, I heard of it.
Yeah, it's a fucking great read. But you want to create an identity for that inner bitch, right? So the inner bitch is the strongest in the morning, and that's why I attack it first thing in the morning. So when I'm in the fucking shower, I'm like, damn, this, like every fucking thought in my head is like, I don't want to do this. Yeah, so if you create an identity for it, right? You create an identity for that inner bitch, and you step in that cold shower, and you're like, all right, I want to see where the bitch is at. Like, where are you at, motherfucker? And then you step in the cold shower, and you're like, oh, there he is. And you almost like shine a light on that ID, like that person. And then once you like look at it from a third person perspective and look outside of the box instead of feeling it and letting it consume you, then you have power over it because you're not consumed by it. You're looking at it from like an outside perspective, and you're like, oh, you know, there he is. Fuck him, you know?
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of, you get the train moving, you get the wheels spinning, and that's how I like to start my day.
Build the momentum up. I always notice too, like, even I noticed a lot more during dry January. My body looked better. I felt better. And seeing the progress, as small as it is, everyone says we'll get better 1% every day. Seeing the progress is what ultimately I think is what drives people to keep going. Because people need to see results. And obviously results don't come in a day.
Right.
But over time, when you start taking care of yourself, then that's when you start to notice it. Like I said, I really started to notice it in dry January, and I want to get back to that. You know what I mean? I want to get back to, like, you know, seeing the progress, seeing the results, and it just comes from discipline.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to build too. You have a huge fight coming up.
It's huge, bro.
How excited are you?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's huge, but
it's your debut MMA fight.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's your debut fight, and like just all that work and all that hard work kind of culminating into this night. So, you know, win, lose, or draw, I think it's just a huge stepping stone for you in your career. So you're ready?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, like, I've never been more excited. I wake up every fucking morning like it's Christmas fucking morning, and I'm 10 years old.
That's
you know?
awesome.
Like, I'm like a little kid, fucking just ready to fucking rock, you know? But yeah, I'm fighting a kickboxer. He's in his 30s. He's had 5 kickboxing fights. He might be a little bit taller than me. He might be a little bit heavier than me. I know he's cutting from like 170 plus. So I've been, like, you know, trying to dive deep on like his camp and who he's training with, and I think it'll be interesting. I think he's gonna be surprised.
Yeah. Is he a Philly guy?
Yeah, he trains down in South Philly.
Okay. So how's the matchmaking work?
You kind of just tell your coaches, like, you know, there's this event coming up, find me a fight, and they'll give you an opponent, and they're like, yeah, you know, it's pretty simple.
When did you realize you were ready for a fight?
Shit, I mean, I'm more than ready now, but I thought I was ready 2 years ago, and looking back 2 years ago, I was trash, you know?
Right.
So I feel like it's just a constant journey of, like, I'm gonna look back in 2 years from now, I'm gonna be like, damn, I wasn't ready.
Right.
You're never really ready. It's just kind of like, you know, you put the work in. There might be a couple injuries here and there, but, you know, like, you just gotta test out it's almost like an experiment. Like
Right.
all the ingredients are in the box. Let's see what we can get, you know?
Right. Yeah, and just kind of and see what happens and learn from it and build from it, which is exciting. So with this fight coming up, how's your camp been? What's your preparation been like?
Yeah, I've been training with some fucking dogs. Down in Marquez, it's like, I don't know, people sleep on Marquez, but we're like 20-4 in the UFC. Like we have
Was Brady in that?
Sean Brady's
Brady,
there.
right?
You know, a couple other UFC guys are there, but it starts at the top and then it trickles down. You know, you see how hard these guys are working, and you can't not work hard around them, you know?
Right, yeah. And that's the number one thing, is just like surrounding yourself with people, like-minded people, and people who work harder and or are better than you, because it just only pushes you. What have you learned being surrounded in that atmosphere around, you know, fighters who are, we'll say, for lack of a better term, just like higher level? What would you say you've learned just being around them?
Honestly, just their grit and their work ethic. It's second to none. You know, just trying to mirror, and honestly, it's almost like a dream come true, because I've been looking up to these guys since high school, and now I'm training next to them.
With them, right?
And just shooting the shit with them, talking shit, you know? It's like we're all kind of like one big family, and it's not like we're trying to kill each other, but we're making it a fight simulation.
Challenge each other, yeah. What's your prediction for your fight?
Like I said, the guy's a kickboxer. I think he's going to be very wary of the takedown. I see he's been working with his jiu-jitsu a little bit. I know he doesn't really have too much of a ground game. So the first round, I think he's going to be very wary of the takedown, like I said, and that can open up the strikes. So he's looking down. That means that the hands are going to be a little bit down. Mm-hmm. I might, open up some strikes. Probably take him down the first round, grind him out, and then the second round, I'm either going to knock him out or submission.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But I strongly feel like it's going to be a knockout, because, like I said, if I take him down the first round, he's going to be very worried about the takedown. And like you saw, Khabib versus Conor.
Yeah.
Khabib dropped Conor.
Yeah.
Because he was scared of the takedown.
Right.
So I feel like that'll be that's my prediction.
That's exciting, man. I'm excited. I'm gonna try to go to that fight. I have a gig at the Ben Franklin Yacht. I think it's 2 to 5. And what time's your fight gonna be at?
Event starts at 7. I think I'll probably be on around like 8.
I'm gonna try to pull up for that.
Even if you can't, there'll be a stream, so you could probably just pull it up.
I just streamed for it too. Okay, shit. Okay, all right. Well, 100%. So with that being said, I wanted your thoughts on really quickly on the Jake Paul fight with Tommy Fury. Did you watch it?
Dude, honestly, like, people hate on. This is where I wanted to get to on this podcast too. Like, people live in the dark, and then once somebody steps on a platform and the light's on them, they automatically want to hate and question everything that they're doing.
Yep.
I don't hate the guy,
Yeah.
I appreciate what he's doing for the sport. I think he's developing as a fighter. He actually dropped Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
Tommy Fury hasn't fought anybody. His last opponent, I think, had over 100 losses.
Yeah.
So people were like trying to discredit Jake for not fighting anybody, but Tommy's not a real boxer either. So it was a pretty even matchup. I definitely think my fucking stream tuned out for like the middle of the fight, but for the first couple rounds and the last 2 rounds that I saw, I think Tommy won.
Yeah.
But people hate on Jake for doing what he's doing, and people will hate on anybody for trying to chase greatness.
And I'm not gonna lie, I actually wanted Jake to win. And only the reason why I love what he's doing is obviously like all the antics outside of it are a different story.
Yeah.
But he's also, with his antics, is creating the desire to watch it. You either want to see him win or you want to see him fail. And Tommy did outbox him, but it's because he's been around longer and he should have outboxed him. But Jake hung in there, and he got a good few shots on him. But I mean, you realize like how novice he really is when you're fighting an actual boxer. Like, you realize how novice you are.
Yes,
he's pretty one-dimensional, and if the right ain't landing, he's not doing anything else really. You know what I mean? Like, so like a nice little left check jab every now and then. But like, I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a really good fight. So like, hopefully like, Jake should stick it out. This loss didn't really mean anything.
There was actually a guy from Philly on the undercard. He boxes at the same boxing gym.
You're saying that to me. That's crazy. You changed your gym?
Yeah, I never actually seen him, but one of his coaches I actually sparred a couple days ago.
Because he was like he was on the card, like the main card. That's crazy.
Got the guy out there in the first round too.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, this. I had no idea from Philly. I'm like, this dude's pretty good. He's pretty good hands. So getting back on like the whole people having something to say aspect. How did you handle that, and how do you handle that?
Dude, at first, like, I used to be such a hothead in high school and kind of early college. Like, somebody had something to say, I'm right on them. I would talk shit back, and I still have that in me where I can talk shit, but I reserve it a lot more.
Yeah.
And especially working like security as well, it's like it's kind of helped a little.
You learn that you kind of have to be a little bit more level-headed, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you almost just laugh at people and that's actually got me into some trouble as well. People will say like, I'll knock you out, or this and that, and like I actually start laughing because I can't help it.
Yeah.
So I almost just laugh it off and just
Yeah.
You're projecting your own insecurities, and that's not on me to handle whatever you're going through.
That's what it comes down to. And yeah, it's ultimately what it comes down to, because I had someone like talking shit about me like on social media, like literally like it was crazy to me, because he was like, I put up a story, right? And he made some comment, and I'm like, he's like a Xiaofan kid. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, wait, what? I was like, I straight up was like, yo, just come to my house. like I literally don't care, bro. It's like probably 3 a.m. I was having like an after party.
Come to the crib.
I literally just said pull up, and then he was like, you DJ and play Bieber, you weirdo. I'm like, okay, let me know when you're here. And then I said, listen, just be sure to keep that energy when I see you. That's all I ask. And then he screenshotted that conversation, put it on his story. Oh, wow. He looked like a dumbass and he deleted it like an hour later. And then he sent a video to me at 5 a.m. We'll talk about it off camera, but and he mentioned my sister's name. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, and that's like, So I didn't respond to the video, but I saw him 2 weeks after. Try walking past me. I touched his chest, like, yo. It's like, so what's up? I was like, you still talk shit? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, just know that if you ever mention my sister's name again, I will kill you. I looked him in his eyes, and
there's a line, and he crossed it.
Yeah, like whatever. So I just said it to him, and the rest of the night he just kind of sat in the corner and like didn't move. And I'm just like, listen, like, I'm not a violent person, but like when triggered properly, it'll come out, and it's just it's anyone. But naturally, like when it comes to this people talking shit, like it's kind of like what you hit on too. Like they have their own insecurities, and how I go about it is just listen, like you stay on that side, I'll stay on this side. Like it's just kind of like, don't even acknowledge it, right? Because at the end of the day, you have like the lane you're taking, the place you're going, and in your lane, in your MMA journey, do you have any idols you look up to, or anyone that you like specifically like idolize or look up to or look towards?
Yeah, so my coach Danny, I definitely idolize his work ethic. He's on the fucking same type time that Kobe Bryant's on. Like he works his ass off, and his mindset, his work ethic, his character is second to none. I truly believe that he's going to be a legend, and if not, he already is. I mean, he got a black belt from the greatest of all time, Mikey Musumeci. Mikey Musumeci is like our age, and he's a multi-time world champion, and that just speaks for itself. And I definitely idolize and look up to my coach a lot. So shout out to Danny. But outside of him, like in the UFC, right now, I mean, I look up to like John Jones, fucking Kamaru Usman, guys like that. Growing up, I looked up to like GSP, Anderson Silva. So
what was the reaction to Usman's loss?
Dude, that was fucking crazy. I actually was just watching that a couple of days ago. I ran it back because I'm fighting a southpaw. Leon Edwards is a southpaw,
Right.
great striker. Usman, I try to emulate some of the stuff he does with the wrestling and his striking into wrestling. But, yeah, he just made one simple mistake, and there was, I think a minute left. Knocked the fuck out.
Probably would have won the fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that fight was crazy. I remember watching that live. I was like, yo, it was wild. But I'm curious to see how Usman comes back from that, though.
Yeah, I think, isn't that in a couple of weeks?
They're actually doing it?
Yeah.
It's coming up, right?
At the O2 Arena, I
Oh,
believe.
shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then John Jones fights on the same night I fight.
Really?
Yeah, Saturday night.
Damn. That's huge. Who's he fighting?
Cyril Gain.
Oh, Cyril Gane. Yeah,
Yeah.
That'll be he hasn't. Well, yeah. How long has it been since he's fought? Like 3 years?
It's been a couple of years, yeah.
Since he's had his own issues coming up.
Yeah, way deeper than you can imagine.
Are you? I know it's not. So, as like in your MMA journey, like who do you fighting wise? I know you mentioned like John Jones, etc. Who do you look up to, and do you have a strategy going into it? Like, do you want to have, as you build your career up, do you look at the Conor McGregors in the world and be like, listen, I want to be like that in terms of like personality? Or what is the lane that you want to take?
My own lane. But Floyd Mayweather said it best. Like, he would study guys like Marvin Hagler. There'll be days where he wanted to be like Mike Tyson. There's a day where I want to be like every fighter that, I mentioned or emulate. And there's not one specific one that I favor over any other. It's kind of like you put them in a box, you shake it up, and then you see what you get. And I definitely take something from every single person that I study, and I try to create my own art out of it. I don't want to be a wannabe. So that's how I look at it.
What's your goal? What's your end goal?
All the way to the top. Get in, get rich, get out. I don't want to be in here, fucking 40 years old, still getting my head beat in. I would like to retire early 30s and get to a platform, maybe make some other business connections, and, whether it's UFC gold or a fucking yacht, I want to take it straight to the top. And it's not all about just trying to kill the other guy. It's about, being a better martial artist and also a better person outside of the ring too. So I think even if I don't make it in mixed martial arts, who I become throughout this journey will ultimately lead me to the bigger picture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's very well said. What do you value outside of fighting? Obviously, fighting is huge for you. It's a huge part of your life. But what do you value outside of it?
Family, friends, keeping, good energy around me. And that's why, you don't really see me out too much because I keep a tight friend group. All my friends are, constantly, we're in on the weekends grinding, and we're talking about, and they have different life paths, whether it's business, insurance, whatever. And we're always talking about our goals, and, sometimes every Friday we'll check in, like, did we reach our goals this week, and I definitely value hard work, accountability. Yeah, that would definitely be at the top of my list.
What do your weekends look like?
Dude, honestly, like, fucking sleep, rest, recover, chill with my dog. My dog is my son.
I noticed. I noticed your dog. You posted your dog a lot, which is dope. How big to you is the people who help you get to where you need to be? So let's say this. You think you would consider Saturday as a life milestone, correct?
Absolutely. How
important has the incorporation of your family and friends been in your life leading up to this moment?
Like they say, it takes a village, It takes a village to get to where you want to go. And without my support, I would be nowhere. So shout out to everybody. I can't thank you guys enough. It's honestly, it's been a long road, and people that have been there, they know how long what I've had to sacrifice, what I've had to go through to get here. and it's finally fucking here. So, they're, the people that stand behind me, I almost look at it like a war. You have to get through me to get to the people behind me, because the people behind me depend on me to win and work so hard that, ultimately that's who pushes me forward. So
that's awesome, man. And I'm, like I said, I'm super excited for your journey and, to see where you go and how far you go, because I've seen the dedication, the passion behind it. And that's why I wanted to have you on this podcast, because that's contagious. Like, I've asked you so many times, like, what gym do you go to? Oh,
yeah.
I'm like, you know what I mean? As I start to get curious about it and, start to take my physical being, mental being seriously, and because the things you do for your body, ultimately lead to the actions you take, and the actions you take lead to the opportunities you get, and the opportunities you get lead to the success you have. So I've seen, like I said, I'm a people watcher, right? And
same.
And I've noticed a lot of the little steps you've taken that have ultimately helped you get to your first fight. And I know how big this first fight is for you, and that's why I want to come out and support and just show, like, because I've seen, like I said, I've seen, like, through social media and through, the people I talk to, like, how far you've come. And I think it's always dope to see. And that's why I love having these kind of episodes, because it doesn't matter where you start, and doesn't matter how you finish either. It's the journey in between, and the steps you take, and the opportunities you take, and the people you meet along the way that really help. And I'm starting to learn myself how much I enjoy the journey,
right.
And not making any opportunity too big in the grand scheme of things. Like, I always take it as a stepping stone, like, because if you let one opportunity become the only opportunity, then you're not going to get anything else in the future. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Train is going to ride right past you.
Right. So you're going to have this fight. And it's interesting, because once you start and you're going to have this fight, and this is going to be your huge opportunity, this is going to be your first fight. And then, okay, shit, on to the next one.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's only going to get harder and better opponents from
exactly.
here,
What are you most excited about as you begin your MMA journey?
The people I meet and the opportunities that will come along with it.
Has there been anyone in your life that has specifically made a huge imprint on you?
I keep saying it, but my coach, Danny.
Yeah.
Danny, like, he kind of, like, when I was going through that whole DUI situation, I had no car, nothing. He was, at the time, he was a brown belt under Marcelo Garcia, who's a legend in himself. But he would come drive 30 minutes, come pick me up, drive me to the gym, another 30 minutes. Fucking sometimes he would buy me food because I had no money. And then he would, we would just sit there, bullshit, and he would tell me about mindset, training, shit like that. Then he would teach me jiu-jitsu for free. So I would get, like, private lessons, basically, from one of the best he was number 2 brown belt in the world. And then, I would just be learning from him for hours. And then he would drive me home. And then sometimes, like, he would fucking do the same thing again at night. Come fucking pick me up, drive me back. So just his character of, like, giving without expecting has, like, shown me that there's people out there who, will do the extra mile for you if you're willing to put in the work. And he knew that I was always available to work, and that's somebody who's definitely picked me up when I was down.
You mentioned he's shown you, and that's amazing, by the way. Shout out to him. You mentioned you had, he's taught you mindset and anything training. What has he taught you specifically about mindset?
I kind of almost tie it to, like, Kobe. It's like just that killer mentality of just work fucking hard, and there will be no doubt, There will be absolutely no doubt if you put the work in. And one of the big things that he says is hard work works, or you didn't work hard enough, And that's another reason why, accountability plays into that. It's like, if you're losing, okay, maybe you didn't fucking work hard enough. You know, look at guys like Kobe, look at guys like LeBron. Like, they're winning because they fucking work, and that's it. There's no shortcuts. It's just hard work, and you know, you win or you lose. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's true. You know, it's they always say, like, I forget what podcast I watched, but they said, I've never seen someone go to the gym every single day and still be out of shape.
Right.
Yeah, like they're in the gym. It's like it's bound to work if you just continue to put in the work. You're never gonna know when, but it can be you working out, you in a fight, and you're the right person's in the crowd, or any opportunity can come in an instant.
Absolutely.
And I always say this too, and I say it every single episode. Your whole life can change in 6 months. That's what I think it truly takes. 6 months is all it takes to change your life, and it comes from the hard work, the opportunities, the places you put yourself in. 6 months it can change your life. What would you say to someone who, just hit their bottom, or someone who just, went through the worst part of their life and they are lost and they don't know where they're going, they don't know where to look? What would you say to someone who is going through something like that?
So when you're at the bottom, the only way to go is up, right? And if you stay at the bottom, that's where you're going to stay. You have to put one foot in front of the other and just don't stop. You don't always have to know where you're going, but as long as you're putting that one foot in front of the other and walking some type of path, then you'll find where that path is.
And something I picked up too is like, they say find your purpose, find your why. The purpose is what culminates from where you start. It's all about finding what you're remotely interested in, starting in a lane, and that's what builds over time. It's like kind of how you mentioned. I said before, like, let's say you say you want to learn an instrument, you start learning the instrument. You want to join a band, you join a band. Your band wants to play a show, you play a show. We want to start expanding, you start expanding. Then you become, countrywide, world, whatever. The point is, it starts with little steps here and there, and
exactly.
Then it ultimately builds from something small. Let's say for your case, you start off with your first fight, then you start becoming a fighter. You want to open up your own gym. Then you open up your own gym. You want to have your own promotion. It's like it's a stepping stones that need to be taken, and I think when you're someone who's lost, you need to just find that first initial thing and then build on it.
Exactly.
And
everything's in the details. Right. I posted something before. It's like,
it's true.
The details are what separates you.
Right.
It's not always the bigger picture. Look for the smallest movements, the smallest tweaks that you can make to ultimately build the bigger picture.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Dan, thanks for coming on, bro.
Dude, thank you so much.
I'm excited for your fight this Saturday. Correct?
Yes, sir.
7:00. The date is, was it March 4th?
March 4th.
March 4th, this Saturday. Tickets will be linked in the description. Get them today. If I get done my event on the yacht, I'll be there 100%. Where's it at?
Rivers Casino.
Rivers Casino. Oh, so it's in Philly, right?
Right down the street.
Oh, it's right down the street from me.
Yes, sir.
I'll be there. 100%. I'm excited. Like I said, guys, Dan Candelaria, thank you so much for coming on, bro. And like I said, I'm super excited to see where you go. And I'm honestly, I feel like I picked up a few things from you just from like learning about your journey. And I got to do a polar plunge.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
I want to go to a polar plunge with you, and I want to also want to do one of them deprivation tanks. That sounds like the coolest shit ever.
Should.
And
we gotta get your ass in the gym too.
I get my ass in the gym too. You don't want to see me become a weapon. That's all I gotta say. So, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Kev Nichols. That's Dan Candelaria. Peace, guys.